I'm sorry. That was acting. That's what that was. I don't really care what happens with this movie. I really hope her career is pretty much over. I'd be thrilled to see that. I can't imagine. I mean, Christian.
Joel, I think I found something.
Whoa!
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just your forehead seems bigger than last season.
I think I found a way through over there.
It's never any fun not being able to go to sleep, just like it wasn't any fun watching Last of Us Season 2. So, in the show, Ellie still looks exactly the same, but is supposed to be 5 years older. Also, Ellie still acts exactly the same. So it really conflicts with what the character's supposed to be portrayed as here. Like most people, I liked the first season. I thought they did a great job.
I'm gonna be a dad. Yeah.
Yes, maybe we can prop it open with something and you can slide.
Whoa! Oh my god, what?
Is it getting bigger?
Stop it.
No, seriously, what's with that?
It's fine, Joel.
Does it hurt?
Joel, please. You're making me self-conscious.
I'm sorry, it's just a little bit startling.
It's a normal head, Joel. Can we just get back to the door things?
It's planetary.
Leave it.
It's gonna have its own area code soon.
Ellie's super smart. What? Characterization of Ellie being dumb is weird.
There was a lot of deviations and more than anything, terrible casting on the part of Neil Druckmann and the director and producer of this show, Craig Mazin. I think they did a terrible job with a lot of the actors they did choose for The Last of Us, including Pedro Pascal, who's just overexposed now.
So maybe if I just move some of this debris, we can get the door open a crack.
Hey! Oh my goodness, Joel! What do I do?
Jesus!
Joel, focus!
Again?
Joel!
Okay, I guess just use your telekinesis?
I don't have telekinesis, Joel!
I don't believe you! Look at the size of that thing! Just try, Ellie, please! I think it's working, Ellie. Keep trying! Come on, cranium! Yeah!
Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about it to everybody who works for her when things inevitably start spiraling.
Oh my God. She is so full of it.
This is not what it's...
The creator of the show is finally speaking out about its failure. The Last of Us creator Craig Mazin admits Season 2 was a finale, drew over 50% less than the finale of Season 1. You lost half of your...
Something's gone terribly wrong with one of the most celebrated franchises in entertainment history. Just a year ago, The Last of Us was riding high, hailed as the perfect union between emotional storytelling and blockbuster production. A flawless adaptation, a groundbreaking performance, a cultural moment. And then something shifted. The excitement, gone. The momentum, gone. The fan base, divided beyond repair. And at the heart of it all, one actress, one decision, one name that turned admiration into outrage almost overnight. Bella Ramsay.
Season 2, I was skeptical on them not recasting Ellie and keeping Bella Ramsay as Ellie because it's supposed to take place 5 years into the future, but obviously Bella Ramsay in real life was not going to age that much in, the 2 years it took between seasons, because Ellie still looks and acts like a 14-year-old from Season 1, even though she's supposed to be 19.
The silence from HBO is deafening. There's no casting news, no script updates, no behind-the-scenes footage, nothing. And the rumors, they're spreading like wildfire. Some say The Last of Us Part 3 has been shelved indefinitely. Others claim HBO is scrambling behind closed doors, desperately trying to undo the damage. But all of it, every whisper, every leak points back to the same place. This isn't just about one role. It's about a franchise in freefall. A fandom that once celebrated its characters now turns on them. And a rising star who may have been set up to fail from the start.
Wild. Every time that song got played, I thought about Joel and I would cry. But because we spent the entire last episode or two just not even thinking about him too much, in my humble opinion, and I know nothing, okay, and I'm not a writer, we could have started the episode there. She didn't need to be triangulating. Ellie didn't need to be dumb.
So what really happened? Did Bella Ramsay derail one of TV's biggest hits? Or is she the scapegoat for something much bigger? Something far more complicated than the internet outrage machine wants to admit? Strap in, because this isn't just a story about casting backlash or fan drama. It's about how fast a legacy can crumble when creative vision collides with fan expectations, and who ends up paying the price. When The Last of Us Season 1 ended, the buzz was electric. Viewers were emotionally wrecked. Critics were calling it a masterpiece. series, and HBO had a goldmine on their hands. The characters felt real, the performances were raw, and the world they built was immersive enough to hook both gamers and casual viewers alike. And then came season 2. The first trailer dropped, and right away, something felt off. It wasn't the sets, it wasn't the budget, it wasn't the music or the atmosphere, it was Ellie. Fans squinted at the screen. Wait, wasn't this supposed to be 5 years later? Why did Ellie still look like the same 14-year-old from season 1? Why did she act the same, talk the same, move the same? People weren't nitpicking, they were confused. In the game, Ellie matures drastically between parts 1 and 2, emotionally, physically, even morally. She becomes colder, hardened, haunted. But in the show, Bella Ramsay's version didn't seem to evolve. It was more than just a haircut or a costume. It was something deeper, something about the performance. And whether fair or not, the internet didn't hold back. YouTubers made entire videos comparing screenshots. TikToks went viral with clips of Ellie in the game versus Ellie on screen. Fans started asking hard questions HBO wasn't answering. Even longtime supporters of the show started expressing doubt. Why didn't they recast her? Why not use an older actress to reflect the time jump? Is HBO seriously just pretending no time has passed? And the worst part, the criticism wasn't going away. It was building. Meme pages posted side by sides. Reddit threads exploded. And while HBO tried to stay silent, the fans got louder. But this wasn't just about age. The backlash started pouring into everything. Bella's expressions, her delivery, her posture, her tone. Some said she lacked the emotional weight to carry the role through the darker arcs of season 2. Others accused the showrunners of bending the narrative to fit Bella's style, rather than letting the character grow naturally. Still, some viewers tried to defend the performance, pointing out Bella's undeniable acting skill and emotional range. But the problem was bigger than just talent. It was about fit. Ellie, as she exists in the minds of fans, is one of the most iconic, deeply personal characters in modern gaming. And Bella, to some, she simply never fit the mold, no matter how good the performance was. But that backlash, intense as it was, didn't start in season 2. It started long before cameras even rolled. Go back to 2021, when Bella Ramsay was first announced as Ellie. At first, the internet was curious. Who is this rising star? She made waves in Game of Thrones, sure, but could she really carry an entire franchise as the lead? For some fans, the answer was a cautious yes. But for others, the reaction was instant outrage. And it wasn't just your typical internet hate. This was organized, sustained, and deeply emotional. My Ellie started trending almost immediately. Fans weren't subtle. They broke down her face, her height, her voice, her entire vibe. Some even brought up interviews Bella had done in the past, pointing to moments where she joked about not playing video games or admitted she wasn't too familiar with The Last of Us before being cast. And that lit a fuse. To critics, that meant Bella was stepping into a role she didn't fully understand, or worse, didn't respect. Side-by-side comparisons flooded YouTube and Twitter. People spliced her lines next to in-game Ellie. They called out the differences in energy, delivery, even eye contact. Ellie's supposed to be vulnerable, but fierce, some argued. Bella just looks annoyed. But this wasn't just about fans being picky. For many, The Last of Us was personal. It was the first time they saw a video game character feel human. Flawed, broken, but real. To them, Ellie wasn't just a character. She was a symbol, and any deviation from that was seen as betrayal. Supporters of Bella tried to push back. They said the hate was based on looks, not performance. That fans were being unfair, rigid, or worse, controlling. But that only made things worse. Suddenly, it wasn't just a casting debate. It was a war. One side accused the other of nitpicking and roasting. The other side accused HBO of ignoring loyal voice and chasing Hollywood trends over authenticity. It was chaos. And HBO, they doubled down. Publicly, executives called Bella Ramsay perfect for the role. They praised her audition, her emotional range, her ability to redefine Ellie for a new medium. But behind the praise, something was happening. Something subtle. The fan base had been fractured, and like a cracked foundation, that split would only grow deeper with time. Before Bella Ramsay ever stepped onto set, before HBO even rolled a single frame of the live-action adaptation, the seeds of division were already planted in the game itself. When The Last of Us Part 2 dropped in 2020, it was instantly polarizing. Critics called it bold, ambitious, unafraid to rip your heart out. And sure, the awards piled up fast. Game of the Year, Best Narrative, Best Performance. On paper, it was a masterpiece. But for the fans, it was emotional whiplash. They watched Joel, the grizzled, morally complex father figure, wiped off early in the story in one of the most savage, shocking scenes in gaming history. No build-up, no redemption, just gone. Then came Abby, a muscular, fierce, and vengeful character who instantly sparked debate. Some players embraced her, others rejected her with every fiber of their being. The tone of the game was relentlessly dark, hopeless even. Gone was the bittersweet survival journey of the first game. In its place was a story about revenge and loss that offered no clean answers, no satisfying resolution, and no sense of emotional safety. Some fans saw that as brave storytelling. Others saw it as a betrayal. YouTube exploded with reaction videos, some praising the developers for pushing the medium forward, others calling for boycotts. Entire channels were launched just to dissect the mistakes of Part 2. Conspiracy theories bloomed, leaks were blamed, writers were roasted, and most importantly, the fan base cracked right down the middle. So when HBO announced that The Last of Us would be adapted into a live-action series, the pressure was suffocating. The showrunners weren't just adapting a popular game, they were stepping into the middle of a battlefield. Season 1, to their credit, was almost universally praised. It stuck close to the source material, introduced new emotional layers, and gave fans a reason to believe the show would get it right. It was a sigh of relief, but fans knew what was coming. They knew Season 2 would have to tackle Part 2's most divisive moments: Joel's fate, Ellie's emotional spiral, Abby's entire arc. And suddenly, the casting of Bella Ramsay wasn't just a creative choice, it became a symbol, a test, a point of no return. Would the live-action version double down on the controversial storylines, or soften the edges to win back skeptical fans? The answer wasn't clear, but one thing was, the live-action series wasn't starting from a place of trust. It was already on thin ice, and Bella, she was stepping into the center of that firestorm. It's hard enough to play a beloved character. It's almost impossible to play one that's already controversial. And whether fair or not, fans were ready to pounce on every flaw, every line delivery, every moment. What happened next would only make things worse. If HBO hoped Bella Ramsay would win fans over with time, charisma, and strong performances, the reality turned out far messier. Her interviews were the first red flag. When asked about the backlash, Bella didn't play it safe. She didn't offer heartfelt reassurances or insight into Ellie's emotional arc. Instead, she often brushed off criticism with sarcasm. At one press event, she laughed off the negativity with a dry, almost dismissive tone. To some, it came off as confident, unbothered, but to others, it felt like she didn't care. And that's when the fan anger mutated into something more personal. Critics started accusing Bella of being tone deaf, of not understanding how much the character of Ellie meant to fans. It didn't help that in earlier interviews, she admitted she wasn't a big gamer and hadn't played The Last of Us before being cast. That confession, innocent as it might have been, sent the internet into a tailspin. Suddenly, Bella wasn't just miscast. She was unworthy in the eyes of the angry corner of the fandom, the kind of outsider they believed would never truly get the story, and worse, would ruin it from within. Her social media didn't help either. While many actors go quiet during controversy, Bella stayed active, sometimes defending the creative direction of the show, other times posting cryptic tweets or sarcastic replies that only further inflamed the situation. It was a perfect storm. The fans who were skeptical now had more fuel. The critics who already disliked her performance now accused her of arrogance, and the people who had barely been holding on since Part 2, many of them let go. And behind all the noise, something far more serious was taking shape. HBO executives were watching closely. Sources from inside the production claimed that Bella's public image had become a growing concern. Social sentiment reports were showing negative trends. Viewer surveys revealed Ellie fatigue. YouTube thumbnails painted her as the villain. Petitions demanding her removal racked up thousands of signatures. It was no longer just internet noise, it was business risk. And that made HBO nervous. Very nervous. Because if Bella Ramsay was no longer a unifying lead, if she had become a lightning rod for controversy, then the entire future of the franchise was in jeopardy. And that concern? It led to a whisper that would shake the foundation of The Last of Us itself. Should HBO recast Ellie? As Season 2 moved into production, HBO maintained a brave public face. The executives praised Bella Ramsay's work. The press releases spoke in glowing terms. Official channels insisted that the fan backlash was overblown, a small corner of the internet. But behind the scenes, the mood was shifting fast. Insiders began leaking whispers from inside HBO, and they painted a very different picture. Marketing teams were reportedly under pressure to soften Bella's presence in promotional materials. Social sentiment analytics, those internal tools that track audience reactions in real time, were flashing warning signs. Fan engagement was dropping. YouTube videos criticizing Bella were outpacing the official trailers in views. Hashtags demanding a recast were trending higher than positive ones. And then the numbers came in. Season 1 had drawn record-breaking viewership, a massive global hit. But early screenings and preseason metrics for Season 2 told a different story. Viewer interest was down. Anticipation was cooling. The data showed a clear trend. The more promotional content focused on Ellie, the less engagement it generated. And when Bella appeared in interviews or social clips, comments often turned ugly. Not just criticizing, but roasting, de-issing, and outright rejecting her. To be clear, none of this was Bella's fault alone. She was a talented actor caught in a situation no one could have truly prepared for, portraying a beloved character in the middle of one of gaming's most divisive narratives. But to the suits at HBO, it wasn't about fairness. It was about optics. It was about money. Internally, meetings reportedly turned tense. Executives debated the long-term future of the franchise. Should they lean into the controversy and try to power through it, or should they make a radical pivot? pivot. One idea, unthinkable just a year earlier, kept surfacing. What if they recast Ellie? It would be messy, risky, possibly disastrous, but some argued it was the only way forward. And as those debates raged behind closed doors, HBO quietly went dark. No new casting announcements, no trailers, no teaser leaks. The silence stretched on for months, and fans, they noticed. Speculation exploded online. Was the show in trouble? Was season 2 being delayed? Was Bella being quietly phased out? Then came the biggest bombshell of all, one that didn't come from an HBO press release, but from a whisper so loud it shook the entire fanbase. The Last of Us Part 3 might be gone. It started as a rumor, a few vague Reddit posts, some anonymous sources claiming internal delays. But in the age of internet fandom, rumors don't stay small for long, especially when they hit a nerve this deep. The idea that The Last of Us Part 3, the highly anticipated final chapter, had been quietly shelved, it was too explosive to ignore. Gaming forums lit up, YouTubers pounced, Twitter flooded with speculation. And in the middle of the storm, there was one terrifying detail that no one could verify, but everyone repeated. There was no progress on the next game, no casting calls, no script updates, no leaks, no teaser images, nothing, just silence. And that silence said everything. Even Neil Druckmann, the creative brain behind the series, suddenly stopped teasing fans. For years, he had built his brand around cryptic hints, subtle nods, and carefully planted clues about where the franchise was going. But now, total radio silence. No interviews, no tweets, nothing. Industry insiders whispered that Naughty Dog had frozen development, that higher-ups at Sony were nervous, that HBO and the game studio were suddenly not aligned. And while no one had the courage to say the word canceled, the phrase indefinitely delayed started making the rounds, which in this industry often means the same thing. Then something even stranger happened. Cast members, actors who had always been open, even excited about working on future installments, dodged the topic. Interviewers would bring up The Last of Us 3, and the energy in the room would change. Nervous smiles, evasive answers, phrases like, "We'll see what happens," or "Nothing's official yet," became the norm. All signs pointed to one thing. Something was wrong, very wrong, and fans already had their theory. The backlash against Bella Ramsay hadn't just fractured the community, it had scared the people in charge. If HBO was losing confidence in its lead actress, how could they possibly move forward with another season, let alone another game? But the internet never stopped speculating. And just as the cancellation rumors reached a boiling point, a new theory emerged, one even more dramatic than the last. What if HBO wasn't just pausing the series? What if they were planning to reboot it? Just when it seemed like the backlash, the silence, and the rumors couldn't spiral any further, a new name started bubbling up across forums, Twitter threads, and fan-made wish lists: Caitlin Dever. And if you followed the Last of Us franchise closely, her name probably sounds familiar, because for a long time she was the fan favorite pick to play Ellie. From the moment a live-action adaptation was rumored, fans pointed to Caitlin. Her look, almost uncannily similar to Ellie from the games. Her acting, proven, emotional, grounded, and intense. Her age, just right. It was the perfect fit. And for a while, it looked like HBO might actually cast her. So what happened? Well, according to insider reports, Caitlin Dever was in serious consideration for the role, and some sources even claim she was HBO's original top choice. But timing and conflicting schedules got in the way. The opportunity slipped, and Bella Ramsay got the call. But now, in the wake of fan backlash, declining engagement, and growing concerns inside HBO, Caitlin's name has resurfaced, not in casual fan wish lists this time, but in recast rumors. Some insiders suggest that if The Last of Us Part 3 does move forward, HBO might consider rebooting the franchise entirely. A fresh timeline, a clean break from the chaos, and a second chance to get Ellie right in the eyes of critics and longtime fans. And who better to step into that second chance version of Ellie than the actress who fans always believed should have been cast in the first place? It sounds wild, unrealistic, but in Hollywood, where public perception is currency and billions of dollars ride on audience loyalty, nothing is off the table. We've seen full reboots for less. But even if a reboot isn't officially in the works, the whispers around Caitlin Dever suggest something deeper. HBO knows they miscalculated. They underestimated how sensitive the Ellie casting decision really was. They overestimated how much the fandom would adapt. And now they're left with two options: double down on a divided franchise with a lead under fire, or burn it all down and start again. It's risky, it's messy, but for some fans, it's the only way forward. At the center of this entire firestorm, the controversy, the speculation, the rumors of cancellation and reboot, stands one person: Bella Ramsay. What was supposed to be a career-defining role has turned into something else entirely. A storm of public backlash, fan division, and online vitriol that few actors, no matter how talented, could truly prepare for. And the impact? It's already being felt. Industry insiders claim Bella's name is now met with hesitation by some casting directors. Projects she was rumored to be attached to have allegedly stalled. Not because she lacks talent, no one questions that, but because the baggage of the Last of Us controversy now follows her everywhere she goes. Even her most passionate defenders, fans who supported her from the start, admit that the fallout has been savage. Her team, according to reports, is working overtime to repair the damage. More curated interviews, controlled press appearances, carefully managed social media posts. Every move now designed to reshape public perception, to make people forget the headlines, the hate, the memes, the controversy, but the internet doesn't forget. And as long as the fate of The Last of Us remains uncertain, as long as HBO keeps dodging questions and Part 3 stays in limbo, Bella's shadow over the franchise will continue to grow. The real tragedy here, Bella Ramsay is not the villain of this story. She's not the mastermind behind controversial game decisions. She didn't write Joel's demise or divide the fanbase with narrative choices. She stepped into an impossible role in an already fractured world and tried to make it her own. But when emotions run high, fans don't always separate actor from character. And in this case, Ellie and Bella have become one, for better or worse. So now, the questions hang heavy. Can Bella bounce back? Will The Last of Us Part 3 ever see the light of day? Is HBO preparing a reboot, or letting the franchise fade quietly into the background? Or has the entire saga, once hailed as the gold standard of storytelling, finally succumbed to the very heartbreak it portrayed so well? This isn't just about casting or scripts. This is about legacy, loyalty, and how quickly a cultural phenomenon can unravel when creative vision collides with passionate fans who feel ignored. The Last of Us was never just a story. It was an emotional experience, and that's what made it powerful and dangerous. So what do you think? Is The Last of Us truly gone? Should HBO reboot the series with Caitlin Dever? Or can Bella Ramsay still turn it around and finish what she started? Let us know in the comments, because if this franchise has taught us anything, it's that nothing is ever simple and no one is ever safe.